Hello, my friends, and welcome to our Cozy Soul Talks. This is our first episode, and I'm very excited. Thank you all for submitting your questions for these talks. And today I wanted to share about how I started my spiritual journey. To me, spirituality is not something external from you, it's not something super mysterious and esoteric out of your reach. Spirituality is everywhere. Spirituality is in your daily routines, is in your conversations with friends, when you connect with nature, with the animals, with your animal friends, your plants. Spirituality is living your life with love and kindness and taking care of all aspects of yourself, loving your multidimensionality. So let's go back to the very beginning. I was always a very sensitive child, creative and optimistic and loving, and I loved to make people laugh. I loved books and movies. I loved animals. Back then, I didn't have the vocabulary, but I was very intuitive and connected to the spiritual. I had conversations with what now I understand as my spirit guides. They appeared in my dreams as animals or dancing colors. It's funny because they appeared in my stories I had going on in my head and my fantasy spaces. And even to this day, I still have a couple of storylines running in the background of my mind, and I love it. Then I would also see some spirits and duendes, but I was told that they were imaginary. Of course, they were my imaginary friends and they weren't real. As many people, I had some religious influence in my life, so I was surrounded by that conditioning, but I didn't resonate with that. I was also a big book lover. I loved reading a lot and basking stories and alternate worlds and dreams. Those are some of my fondest memories. And I remember when I was about 10 years old, my mom bought the book The Secret, and she didn't read it, but she gave it to me. And it was about the law of attraction, and it was spectacular for my 10-year-old self. It helped me tap into my personal spirituality. It felt very freeing and liberating. It was what I needed back then because the underlying message is that you can create your own reality. You can manifest whatever your heart desires because God or the universe is always supporting you. And I really loved that dose of positivity to help me cope with boring school and all that. So that year, I would practice my affirmations in front of the mirror. I manifested my best grades. It was awesome. And that same year, I got another book, or I found another book in this old bookcase that was at my grandma's home. It was a book by Lobsang Rampa about astral travel, and you can imagine my big surprise. I practiced the exercises at night, projecting your consciousness outside your body, and it was super, super fun because I remember I was able to do that when I was a kid, but for some reason I stopped. I think because I wasn't sleeping because I was practicing the exercises. So later at school, I was feeling moody and couldn't concentrate on the classes, so I had to stop that. And then you can imagine the whole high school experience, the mood changes, hormones, and I kind of left this spiritual aspect of me, these spiritual explorations in the background. I was super busy with school, and I kept getting this message from certain people in my life that I had to do super well at school. It was my only ticket to a good life, to a good university, to a good job and money. And I started to feel like I was losing myself. In the end, I don't know how I managed to still get the highest grades at my school. And right after that, I got into university and suddenly was thrown into this other world and all responsibilities, and I crashed. I absolutely crashed. I was in my late teens feeling lost and exhausted and anxious about the future because people had huge expectations of me and some financial problems, family problems. You can imagine it was a lot of things going on at the same time. And all I wanted was some space and time to discover who I was on my own. I wanted to really discover my passions in a very authentic way. And those couple of years, I got into my dark night of the soul. I became very isolated and even rude, just oozing anger. And if you knew me back in 2012 or maybe 2013, I am so sorry because I was in a very low place. I was suffering inside, and it happens to a lot of us. I think it happens to everyone that when we are not okay, when we are sad, when we are depressed, we don't realize that we could also be hurting others too. That was a very difficult state to live in, and it wasn't sustainable. I was realizing that deep down, my soul was like, come back to me, come back to me, remember who you are. And I really felt that calling from my true self deep within me that was like, we can get through this. We got this, but you need to do the work. You need to put in some effort and especially put in some love. And by then I was ready to get help. So I went to a psychologist, this lovely therapist. She saw me. She saw me as a person, as an individual, and I love that because it was just what I needed, to be seen, to be heard without judgment. She gave me a book to read, The Knight in the Rusty Armor. I devoured that book in a day, and it sparked my whole transformation. And I am so thankful for this therapist because I feel that she knew that I already had the inner resources to go through this transformation, through this journey, but I just needed a little nudge in the right direction. And I just had one session with her, I remember, because sometimes it only takes a word, a single word, or a person or a book to change the course of your life, to set you back on track. And after I read this book, The Knight in the Rusty Armor, I was so excited, and I wanted to find more spirituality, connect more into this aspect of myself again. And I found yoga with Adrienne. I started doing her videos, and it was so fun. And it also helped me to return to my body and feel more grounded and active, because until then I was neglecting my body, eating whatever and not really exercising. But more on this later, but you know that we are body, mind, and spirit, and we need to embrace all these facets of ourselves if we want to heal, if we want to really feel complete and whole. Yoga helped me to create this beautiful self-healing practice that would stay with me to this day. And then I found The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle and A New Earth, and those books were amazing and so synchronistic in that moment for me. And I read those books and began to practice meditation more methodically. And here comes the yummy part. In one of my meditations, I felt this like a switch, like I felt this profound bliss and relief, like a huge weight was lifted from my shoulders. I suddenly felt very connected with everything, this very deep love and ecstasy and peace that reverberated through my entire being. And for a couple of weeks, I was in that floaty state, living like I was a newborn. I had been reborn, like my whole psyche was being updated. I felt that all those fears and anxieties were, just boom, disappeared, dissolved. And I encountered my true being, my love consciousness, being my pure self, and it felt amazing. I felt so present, so vividly present, and it almost felt like, everything around me was more vivid, was more alive, more beautiful. It was like remembering my true self, my childlikeness, my playfulness, my spontaneity, everything that was me, truly me, beyond the old fears or the imprintings from society or family or anyone else. And something very interesting I noticed, I felt during those couple of weeks that it became very difficult to even think, to form thoughts in my mind, like the usual images or mental chatter disappeared. It was very difficult to think. It's super weird to explain this, but I guess I deeply comprehended that I wasn't my fears, I wasn't my beliefs, my thoughts, I was pure love consciousness. And yeah, it was amazing. So after a few weeks, that super blissful state kind of blended into my regular consciousness and perceptions. And it was okay because I had to return to life, to my activities, and apply my understandings, my realizations, and epiphanies in my beautifully mundane and ordinary life. I am very thankful for that awakening experience because it served to me as a benchmark or maybe as a reminder of my true nature. Because now I know that even if I'm feeling, some anxieties here and there or worries or watching the news, everything seems so chaotic and louder than it really is. I know that that's not me, that's not the whole truth. The whole truth is way more vast and beautiful, and we are safe, we are loved, we are supported. That experience helped me to remember that I could always come back to that through meditation, through peaceful activities, through my passions. It's super important that you learn to come back to yourself, come back to your center, because life is going to throw at you challenges and pain and chaos and smiles and tears and joy. But everything goes, everything passes. Yet you are always this eternal, everlasting love consciousness. You are anchored in spirit. You are saved and loved and supported by God, the universe, or this beautiful network of support that you have around you. Returning to your center, remembering yourself really gives you the strength and courage to keep going, to face the challenges as well as the happiness. And to continue my story, right after my awakening, I delved deeper into my holistic practices like yoga, breathwork, meditation. I wanted to soak in more love and spiritual knowledge and connect with kindred spirits on the same path as me. I took that whole year off to take care of myself, and I trained in Reiki healing, crystal therapy, tarot, clairvoyancy, intuitive art. I found teachers from all around the world and studied their work and felt so inspired and uplifted. I also found channeling with the Michael teachings, Seth, Orin, and the Ben, Bashar, Abraham Hicks, and I learned more about the nature of our souls and personalities and reincarnation, past lives, everything I talk about here on my channel. And later I decided to go back to university and study psychology. And I also did my yoga teacher training in 2019. I love all these metaphysical and holistic practices because that's who we are, body, mind, and spirit. And that's who I am. I am sensitive, I am an empath, a psychic, a channel, a free spirit, a healer, a writer, an artist. I am multidimensional, and so are you. And that's why I am here. That's why I created this community to reach more people like you and me, to support each other in our beautiful journeys through life and love. I've received so much love and support from my friends, my soul friends, who share the same spiritual passions. Now I am 27 years old, and it's been a wonderful experience so far, full of ebb and flows. And I look forward to seeing what comes next for me. Spirituality doesn't require you to go to the mountains to meditate as a hermit. Spirituality is just being yourself and loving yourself, loving others. Thank you for being here. This was my story, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you on my next Soul Talk. So, big love to you, and see you soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe.